Hello, travel biz owner. Welcome to my corner of the travel industry, the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're ready to have fun, be inspired, get clarity, and take action in your travel business, then you're in the right place. Let's jump in. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday, or whenever you happen to be listening to the podcast. My name is Rita M. Perez. I am your host of the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast, and I'm actually attending PodFest these next couple of days. It is an annual podcasting conference, and gosh, if I'm thinking about it, I think this is my third time in person and my fourth time total, because 1 year was one of them pandemic years, so it was all virtual. But it is kind of like an annual ritual because it happens here in Orlando, technically kind of like in my backyard, so it's pretty easy to get to, and I get to meet all sorts of really neat people who are in the podcasting industry, whether they have podcasts or they want to be guests on podcasts. So this is a really great place for me to learn more on the business aspect of things, and then also see who are some really great educators to bring you here on the podcast. So as I'm recording this, I've just attended a couple of sessions, so I haven't fully dove in deep yet. But the one session that I did really attend and really enjoy, I got a ton out. So stay tuned because you may be hearing how I'm experimenting with some things. But that is my first in-person event of the year. And if you have been sticking around for just a little bit, a couple weeks ago I had mentioned I'm wanting to do more in-person events, and I found a couple things happening in Orlando in February. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go through with them or not because there's a couple other projects. I kind of just want to take downtime, a little bit of downtime in February. January is so flippin' busy. I don't know if you feel the same as well. I feel like January is I'm here, let's do all the things. And that's not typically what a January is for me. So yeah, I would like to pump the brakes a little bit on 2026. Let me know if you are in the same boat. I do have to give a shout out because I did get some fan mail earlier this week. So let me see if I can find that message. If you are also wanting to send in some fan mail and you're not sure how to, when you go to the show description in your podcast app, whichever app you're listening to, the very first link should say something about share Rita your thoughts. And then with the magic of technology, it will send you to your podcast, or not your podcast, your text messaging, and it'll send me that information direct. Now, I don't get your phone number. I get the last 4 digits of your phone number, and I don't get your name unless you tell me what your name is. It does tell me where you're located, so at least I can tell you where you're at. So I do want to shout out to this travel advisor, travel entrepreneur who's in Alabama. Thank you so much for your message. I'm so happy that I found your podcast. My host owner suggested it and I love it. You're so helpful. I do work for a host company, but I'm thinking of going out on my own and also thinking about doing summer camp at sea. Woohoo! I would love to have you at summer camp at sea. When is the absolute last day for booking? Thanks for being so transparent and helpful in your podcast. That is a really great question because we are talking about events in this podcast episode today. So plug here. Summer Camp at Sea. I would say the last day because the final cruise payment date is March 16, 2026. Now that's also going to depend on whether or not the ship sells out or not before then because if you've been following me for a little bit, Summer Camp at Sea last year sold out quick. Not necessarily the program sold out, but the ship sold out. And so if the ship sells out, then I cannot add any more of you in there. So I've been having quite a few inquiries and I've been reaching out to some of you who have expressed interest just to follow up with you. So while March is the final payment deadline, I will say, if it has been a thought of yours and this is something that you're really wanting to commit to, the sooner you commit, the better, because then we can secure your space for sure. And I do have both balcony and interior cabins. Interior cabins are going to be more accessible if you did want to have a solo cabin, but I just cannot wait to get the work done and check off our to-do lists in an amazing destination. We're heading to Alaska this year. I know a lot of people have been asking me about 2027, but I have not. I've been kind of looking at 2027 details, but again, January has been cuckoo bananas, so that will probably not be coming out anytime soon. Just the 2026 details. You can also head on over to the next link outside or underneath that. Send Rita your thoughts. It's going to be the summer camp at sea details. So you can head on over to that link, check out all the deets, and then let me know if this is something that you're seriously thinking about so we can see how we can make this happen for you. Now, I was pleasantly surprised when I asked Instagram to vote on podcast topics this week. And I love that you voted for this topic about different industry events. I have cherry picked lots of different events that we'll talk about. So it's kind of like I'm going to mention a couple different resources that you can go to find out different events that are happening local to you or just internationally that you might want to attend for your travel business, specifically on the advisor side. But I'm also going to include a little bit like tourism and like travel creator side of things, because I feel like those are also going to be really great places for you to mix and mingle and grow your network at. I'm going to talk about like some general type of events that you might want to have on your radar or at least be able to look into. And then I'm going to kind of just go through the 2026 calendar to let you know kind of what is happening. So without further ado, let's get into it. So there's a lot of events that I know of within the industry that's due to my connections with LinkedIn. People who I know on LinkedIn, I hear about different events happening in the industry because I'm well connected with lots of different people in the industry. So again, another plug for LinkedIn. If you are not utilizing that, definitely get your patootie onto LinkedIn. And I just thought of another type of show that I'm going to write down here in my little list, as I have a ton of notes here to share with you. Other places, if I'm trying to look for events within the travel industry, Host Agency Reviews does have an event calendar. Event calendar on, I thought I said something else. Event calendar on their website. And I think there's even events, like some people have posted events through like 2027 and 2028. So that is a free resource to be able to check out any sorts of events that are happening on the industry. That's something that if somebody in the industry is having an event, they can post it on there. So it's not anything that is vetted per se. Now, if you are looking for events that have been vetted, there is a small subscription fee, but Find Travel, FYND Travel, is a really amazing resource because Lisa Watson, who's the founder of it, does vet different events, meaning that she makes sure that they're really legit. And this obviously is going to take some of her time, which is why it is a small subscription fee to be able to see a lot of the different events. She, I believe in a previous life, was and somehow related or in relation to ASTA. So she has a lot of like local ASTA events. So if you're an ASTA member or if you've been ASTA curious and you're wanting to attend like local chapter events, that's going to be a really great hub other than like being a part of your local ASTA chapter to figure out some of the events that are happening. Because both of the event calendars are going to have things like conferences. They're going to have host consortia events. They're going to have FAM type trips on those calendars as well. It just runs the gamut. I want to say Lisa's might be a little bit more advisor centric because those are the types of events she's looking for, where Host agency reviews does have a lot of host and advisor centric items, but I feel like there's also a lot of like tourism type of things. So it's really great just to be able to cross reference both calendars to see what is out there and what is happening. So those are some of the places that I look. And then of course you can always look in different like Facebook groups to see what's happening within the industry, because things are always popping up. Like I mentioned, so here's kind of like some general things and then also some things that I know that are coming up. And last but not least, we'll like go one by one. I think I have every single month except for December, so I have something every single month in the daily kind of calendar that I'm going to share today. And then I will share something that's happening in December in this general. So let's get to it with the host events. Depending on who your host agency or your franchise is, they're going to have different events throughout the year. I know many host agencies have these training events, like either big conventions or conferences where there's going to be lots of supplier partners and some educators that also attend these events. So this is really great if you're wanting to learn a little bit more about your host agency. What are some of the benefits of being with that host? Because a lot of like the host events that I've attended, they do talk a lot about like their hotel programs and things like that. So if you're not as familiar with some of those programs, that's what's really great. And then also any updates that are happening. That's one of the big benefits of attending a host agency or a franchise event. And then also just being with other people, being able to get to know other people who are with your host. I feel like that's super beneficial. So especially if you need like out of office coverage, you're able to be like, hey, so-and-so, I met you here. I know that you specialize in this like I do. Is this something that you would be interested in covering me for while I'm on vacation? Similarly, but different, there are the consortium events. So the hierarchy kind of goes like the consortiums are at the top. They're kind of like bigger brokerages, per se, and that we have the hosts that are like smaller brokerages. Many host agencies are affiliated with a consortium. And then if you did not want to be affiliated with a host or a franchise, you can also just be a member of the consortia as an independent travel advisor as well. You just have to be a little bit more specific because there are like minimum numbers that you need to meet being part of that consortium. And the benefits of being like with a consortium is that you're not totally independent. You do have like some perks that might be consortium specific. I think the biggest kind of consortium events that I know about are definitely going to be Virtuoso, and that's an event that happens every year in August. I want to say in Vegas. I think last year was in Vegas. I'm not sure if it's annually in Vegas, but most likely in Vegas, and they do have like a travel tech summit part of that. I know at the end of this month, Virtuoso has like another event. I feel like Virtuoso and Travel Leaders are probably like the top two that you probably know about when it comes to consortium. And so Travel Leaders will have their Edge events. So these are different than your host events. Different but similar. So you kind of have to be picky choosy on, I know some of you might go to both events. Some of you might just choose one event. Maybe you like alternate between events. So like one year you go to a host event, the next year you go to a consortium event. But it's just important that you know and are aware that these events exist. I mentioned local ASTA events. There's so much that is always happening. Like in Central Florida, there's going to be a showcase that's happening at the end of January. I know South Florida, they have, I think, at least 2 different like annual events. On top of like having these educational events, you can get like exclusive access to like ship inspections or FAMs being members of your local ASTA chapters. So take that in mind too, that's a really great benefit that I don't feel like a lot of us are talking about in terms of becoming members of ASTA. There's also a ton of supplier events. Like, I remember back in the day, rest in peace, go vacations, but they would have like different luncheons or dinners. And I know many different suppliers do that. Some like representation companies will do that. I know here in Central Florida, just a couple nights ago, the Ministry of Tourism for the Dominican Republic had a really spectacular event. I didn't go, but I did see somebody's stories and videos of it, and it just looked amazing. And I know many other either supplier specific or destination specific will do like these little roundabouts or round tables, that's what I mean, or little trade shows. Because thinking about that, there's these things called peninsula shows, and I've heard like these are things that have been running for many years in the travel industry. Coming up in the spring, they're going to have shows in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. They call these roundtable travel dinner shows. So I feel like it's what I had kind of seen is like it's round tables and you get some dinner, and I feel like it's almost speed dating. So you might have like 10 minutes with a supplier and then they have to rotate, or you have to rotate. I'm not exactly sure how it works. I do prefer the ones where the supplier rotates and not the travel advisors. So sorry, suppliers. So that is just one example of different types of trade shows that might be, or events that might be coming to you as well. I think of ship inspections. Those are also different events that you should be attending. If you are a specialist in the cruise industry, you should definitely be trying to get on as many ships to experience the different brands and also get the different vibes of the different ships, because many of these cruise lines will have multiple different classes. And so like a Radiance class on Royal Caribbean is going to be nothing like a Oasis class. So being able to tell what those differences are to your clients is going to be so beneficial, especially when we're talking about you creating the utmost in experiences for your clients. There's business events. So I would classify PodFest, the event that I'm attending, as a business event. But there are loads of others. You're just going to have to do some Google research to see what kinds of business events are out there. I know that is it SBA? There is like a small business event that also travels throughout the country. So being able to take a look at that. If you're also a member of some of these organizations like NABO, the National Association of Women Business Owners, they do have their own conferences. So that might be a business event that you want to head over to, because that's, again, like the more people that you have in your network, the more people that you have to refer, and the better of a connector. Like, connectors stand out, and you want to be that type of person. If I know I'm talking a lot about like in-person events, there are also a lot of virtual events that you can take a look at, like virtual summits. And are they specific to your niche? Can you be a speaker? Maybe you just need to be in the room so that you can get into the Facebook group and start chatting with people that way. But figuring out what is within your niche, like what types of events would be beneficial within your niche, you need to be getting to those types of events. Thinking about events that happen multiple times throughout the year and like in multiple different destinations, I think of ILTM, which is a luxury event. You do have to have an invitation, or at least you have to like apply. That's very similar with, I think it's Global Travel Marketplace, GTM, Global Travel Market, yes. And there's GTM and GTM West. So you have to apply for that as well. Then I saw that there was also WTM, World Travel Markets. And then the one thing that I just added thinking about it, Travel Market Report, which is a media publication, they host travel marketplaces in Canada. So I think like Vancouver, Toronto, and one other location in Canada, they do host different educational type conferences that are really beneficial. ILTM I feel like is one of those world famous events. If you're a luxury travel advisor, you definitely want to make sure that is on your calendar. I believe annually it happens in Cannes in December. So it's like either the first or the second week of December, and you do need to have it in, or it's either invitation only or you need to apply in order to be invited. The same goes to GTM West. And I feel like a lot of these shows, there's an invitation or an application process because they're smaller types of conferences, and you also have a lot of one-on-ones. So you're going to be doing, like, instead of a round table kind of conversation with different suppliers, it's a one-on-one, very quick speed dating is what I've heard. So I've heard that they're just incredibly valuable, these types of events. So, and GTM and GTM West are a little bit closer to home, whereas like ILTM is going to be a little bit more international. Same thing with World Travel Market. It's going to be a little bit more international, but they have multiple different events throughout the year. All right, so that's kind of like some of the general events that I think that you need to be aware of. So let's go on a kind of like month to month what is happening. And this is not the be all end all. I feel like that podcast would last hours if we did like a be all end all. I'm kind of cherry picking some of the most popular and also some of the things that I feel like you need to be aware of for your business. So let me take a quick sip of water and get into it. All right. First up, if you didn't already know, January 26th through the 30th, Host Week is a virtual event that's happening. It normally happens at the end of January every single year. It is a virtual week-long event. This is going to be a really great event if you are looking for your first or your next host agency franchise, or even if you're looking to go independent, because there are interviews, quick, like 10, 15-minute interviews that happen with various different host agencies and consortium. So you can kind of start narrowing it down. Like maybe you have been with a host and they just haven't been meeting your needs. So be able to kind of look virtually at the speed dating, at these recorded presentations, and see like, this one matches my vibes, or this one does not match my vibes, or this has things that I really need that my current host does not have, or my current consortium doesn't have. So that is a free sign up. So just head on over to hostagencyreviews.com. I really want to add in links for you, but I feel like there's going to be hundreds of links. So I'm just go to Google and Google some of these items, please. The next thing, so in this kind of line by line, I also have like national days. So January 27th is National Plan for Vacation Day, which always happens. It's the last Tuesday in January. So if you wanted to like plan some marketing or plan an event for that day to kind of like market your travel services, that might be a really great day to do that. It's not like an official event where you're going to sign up and do something, but it is a day for you to at least be aware of and be able to acknowledge. So January 27th this year. Then some amazing people that I've partnered with are actually doing a rep week in Florida. So if you're interested, I'm not sure if you need to be on their email list or if you just reach out, say, hey, I heard about this on Rita's podcast. I'd like to be able to go. This is Representation Week. It's in Florida. It's mostly, there's mostly a lot of like East, South Florida locations. I think there's at least one West, South Florida location. You're going to see by Iris representation, Carol, I think is Baden, luxury hotels and experiences, emerging destinations, and Wanderlux collection. I think they have at least like 8 different dates / times within a week time span. It's February 9th through the 12th. You can pick the one that kind of works for you. And they have anything from like a breakfast meeting, a lunch meeting, a dinner meeting, just to learn more about their different brands. So I know that they would love to see you out. I know that they're not the only representation companies that are doing these types of things. And they do these types of like little tours throughout the year in different locations. So if Florida's not going to work for you in February, just reach out to them and say like, hey, I heard about this. Like, are you ever going to be in my location, or what do you have coming up next that I might be able to travel to? But I think that that's going to be a really, really great week. And I'm actually hoping to attend because I've got at least two friends I know by Iris and the team very well, as well as Wanderlux Collection. So you might see me there. So that's February. Again, not a whole comprehensive list. We're just going high level overview here about like some of the things that I feel should be on your radar. And again, you don't have to do all the things. Be picky and choosy about some of the things that you do attend. March is a pretty busy month. So March 3rd through 5th, there is ITB Berlin. This is an annual event, and this is definitely more tourism based. You're gonna see just a lot of different people here. So on the tourism side, on the travel side, so definitely if you're wanting to go a little bit global and meet a lot of different new people, this might be a really great one to couple possibly with the ASTA River Cruise Expo. But before we go to the River Cruise Expo, CLIA has a River View Conference. It is also in Amsterdam. It's March 8th through 10th. So I'm interested to see, like, if you are going to both CLIA and ASTA in Amsterdam, let me know, because I'd love to hear like your comparison. So that CLIA River View Conference, and CLIA, if you didn't know, is the Cruise Lines International Association. That's March 8th through 10th. ASTA River Cruise Expo, also in Amsterdam, is March 11th through the 15th. After that, the 15th through the 25th, if you're wanting to sail with me, this is not my official trip. Travel Market Report and AMA Waterways are hosting, is it our third annual? I think it's our third annual TMP Travel Marketplace on the river. So you'll get access to me. I will be teaching on board. I think I'm teaching on content creation and lead generation this year. Last year I taught on AI. So that is a round trip 10-night Amsterdam river cruise. So let me know. I can see, I'm not sure if it's sold out yet or not, but I can check with the team to see if we still have more spaces for that kind of like post ASTA River Cruise fam. Again, it's not necessarily an ASTA River Cruise fam, but it's an event that always happens around that time. So if you do go, it is an option for you. So that is March. Then April is kind of like another busy time. I feel like there's big things, especially if you're on the cruise side of the industry. So April 13th through 16th, there is something called Sea Trade that happens in Fort Lauderdale. I think there is a day that travel advisors can attend, because this is more for the cruise trade. So like there's going to be a lot of cruise line executives there, and I feel it's like more like for cruise buyers, like cruise executive buyers per se. I know that there's a lot of media that attend these types of events. For travel advisors, I see the benefit of you attending something like this is just to see what's happening, because there are a ton of media announcements, breaking news that happens at Sea Trade, and that is in Fort Lauderdale. It is very close, but also there's like some time in between, because Sea Trade is the 13th through the 16th, whereas CLIA Cruise 360 is April 21st through 26th. So if I look at the calendar, I just want to see the 21st through the 20th. So the 20, I feel like CLIA actually is, because that's Tuesday through Sunday. I feel like programming is going to be that Wednesday through Friday, and then you have opportunities for ship inspections on the Saturday and Sunday. So if you're like, oh, I can't take all that time off, maybe you just attend ship inspections, maybe you just attend like the end of the days. But I remember it's been years. I do need to get my booty back to Cruise 360. I really loved Cruise 360 because when I had gone, they were doing panels back to back where you had like 5 or 6 different cruise lines on a panel. and the panel leader asking the same question and multiple different cruise lines chiming in. So you got to kind of like compare what their answers were right live there. What I also loved about CLIA Cruise 360 is that there were destination spotlights. So I think I went to like an Australia spotlight. I went to like a Baltic spotlight, which is really cool because I just hadn't seen it at any other like travel advisor conference before. So I really, really like that. Again, if you're a cruise specialist, this definitely should be one of the conferences that is on your radar. Moving on to May. Well, the most important thing about May is that it's my birthday month. I don't have to say anything else from there. But May is also chock packed, man. So looking May 3rd through 9th, national event is the National Travel and Tourism Week. So I know there's going to be a lot of suppliers who are just talking about this in social media and marketing. So that might be something that you also want to talk about. Thinking about that, the first Wednesday in May, I think is also National Nurses Day, but for us, it's National Travel Advisor Day. Wait, is it May 5th for real? It's no, it's May 6th, sorry. I got that wrong. I was like, wait, it's on Cinco de Mayo? What a winner that we got. No, not this year at least. Maybe next year it's going to be on a May 5th, but National Travel Advisor Day is going to be May 6th this year. So definitely want to make sure that you're getting some sort of recognition or marketing out there to talk about National Travel Advisor Day. Amongst these dates, we also have CLIA has been doing a lot on the expedition cruise side. So, and this is also a lot like with CLIA UK. I don't know if it's really talked a lot here in the States. CLIA Expedition Cruise Summit is happening in Dover from May 7th through the 8th this year. So there is also another CLIA event, but that's in July. So I don't want to talk about it just yet. But that, if you're wanting to learn a little bit more about expedition cruising, might be a really great event because that is one of the more popular cruising kind of segments that's kind of booming right now. Las Vegas Travel Agent Forum. This is definitely an event for newer advisors. It's happening this year, May 12th through 15th. I feel like they kind of change every year, the dates, whereas like some people, it's always like in this month. So I think this is the first time that I've seen it, at least in a little bit, where it's in May 12th through the 15th. And if you're a new advisor, they do educational sessions. And then there's also a trade show. I believe it's at the Paris Hotel. I did attend a couple years ago as a vendor. Many of you know I do some work with host agency reviews. So I attended with them. And it was just really interesting. Also, it was nice to see Paris or Las Vegas through a different lens. Later that month, if you haven't already heard, it's the ASTA Travel Advisor Conference happening May 27th through the 29th. And that's on my calendar to attend. I haven't officially registered yet, but that is something that I definitely want to be at because I know I have a couple friends who are going to be speakers this year. And it's in San Diego this year, I believe at the new Gaylord San Diego. So I feel like that's a flagship kind of event that we all need to attend as an industry. Maybe not every single year, but whenever it's in a location that might be appealing to you, or there's like really great speakers that you want to hear from. Being able to support the event and our national organization is always a really great thing. And then, of course, you're going to be meeting a lot of people because, yes, there's a lot of education that happens at these events. But on top of the education, it's also being able to meet either suppliers on the trade show floor or your fellow travel advisors, fellow travel business owners. Now, the next event is something that I've wanted to attend, but it is so close to ASTA conference that I'm like, I don't know if I can swing it this year, but it is WITS. This is the Women in Travel Summit. So it really is more for women in travel creators. So, and I think it was founded by somebody who's actually a blogger. It's happening in Chattanooga, Tennessee, May 29th through the 31st. So I feel like this is going to be really great. I don't feel like a lot of advisors attend this event. So especially if you are wanting to kind of mix and mingle with some people who can give you like some PR, or maybe you can plan some group trips for these people who have generated an online following, I feel like you're going to find a lot of really great people just to know within the industry on this side of things. They also host the Bessie Awards for amazing women in the travel industry that are just doing really great things. Then coming on to June, we have Hardwired, which is the Host Agency Reviews Tech Week. I don't know if we've officially put dates out yet, so I don't want to put like the dates out there, but it is happening in June, just to give you a heads up. The inaugural one just happened in October of this past year, so you can head on over to their YouTube channel and check that out to see all the goodies that happened at the past year. Then June, we've got 8th through the 10th, the Women Leading Travel Forum. So this used to be an organization independent. It's now a part of Skift, which is a very big, like also luxury travel type publication. They're hosting this event in New Orleans this year. So the Women Leading Travel Forum. And there's executives from all, like I've seen travel advisors go, I've seen host agency leaders go, and then I've also seen like supplier leaders go. So again, a very varied type of event. Then if you specialize in romance travel, there's June 15th through the 19th, the Romance Travel Forum. It's happening in the Dominican Republic this year. I believe the same people that host that Las Vegas Travel Agent Forum are the ones that also host this Romance Travel Forum. Then, of course, you can't forget, we've got Summer Camp at Sea that's happening. You're going to get me as your professional photographer and your fellow advisors in this like amazing co-working and content creation intensive where you are going to get things done that you have been procrastinating on. So make sure to sign up to get your patootie there. It's happening in Alaska. It's a round trip from Seattle. It's heading over to like the major ports. So you have Skagway, Juneau, Ketchikan, and then also a little bit in Victoria. What I like about it is that you also get Glacier Bay, which is not something you tend to see. It's very much, because this is going to be an itinerary with Princess Cruises. So it's very much you have to be on a certain cruise line to be able to go through Glacier Bay and experience that as well. So there's definitely a lot of like go time, and then there's definitely a lot of downtime, which I love and is part of the big premise of Summer Camp at Sea. Similar during that time frame, depending on what you wanted to do, this is one of the events that I have been wanting to go to. I just haven't been able to make it work, and it's during my Summer Camp at Sea dates, so it's not going to work for me this year. It is TBEX, which is a travel blogging conference. So this is happening in Richmond, Virginia, June 23rd through the 26th. Again, there's going to be lots of different types of travel creators, so being able to mix and mingle with that audience. And also, if you're wanting to get better with your blogging skills, I feel like this is going to be like the place to do that. Similar dates, different location. This is another travel conference that I've wanted to attend as well. It's called TravelCon. This year, it is being put on in partnership with the Travel Goods Association. It is heading to Salt Lake City, and that is June 23rd through the 25th. Then going into July, not a lot of things happening in July, but I did mention CLIA is doing a lot with expedition cruising. So July 23rd through the 28th, there is the CLIA Expedition Showcase in Svalbard. And I think the difference with this one is that you're going to see a lot more ships at the showcase versus the summit. I feel like the summit is a little bit more educational, where the showcase is going to be where you're going to be able to tour a lot of different expedition ships. So really cool that that's happening, and cool that it's literally cool that it's in Svalbard. Then heading into August, we're ramping up lots of events after summer vacation. I see ABTP Summit. So this is the Association of Black Travel Professionals. So this summit happens annually in August. This year they're heading over to North Carolina, and the dates are August 20th through the 23rd. Then there's a convention. I think you pronounce it CITA. It is the Student Youth Travel Association. And they do have different events like throughout the year. But their annual convention is happening in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, August 21st through the 24th. So if that's your niche, if you do a lot of student travel, a lot of student trips, this may be a really great convention to help you hone in on those skills when it comes to planning those types of trips. And then to round out August, there is the ASTA Caribbean Showcase. This has been on many really neat locations. This year, it's going to be in St. Kitts, and I just find that super fascinating. Like, part of me is like, I really want to go just to see all that St. Kitts has to offer, because I don't feel like St. Kitts is widely talked about. So August 22nd through the 26th is the Caribbean Showcase with ASTA. Then and speaking of ASTA, thinking about it, backtracking, putting a pause, I believe April, I don't know the dates because I just thought of this off the top of my head. April is Legislative Day this year. They are looking for representation. They normally like to have representation from each state. When they do the call outs for this, I know that it doesn't, that like, I would love to be able to assist with Legislative Day, but I'm in Florida. Florida has plenty of representation. So if you're kind of like in smaller states or states where there's not a lot of travel advisors, those are really where they're wanting to have representation. And I did just see something kind of come in my social media feed. So Legislative Day is where you are going to get access to our lawmakers or their teams, depending on what their schedule is like. And you're going to be able to talk to them about whatever initiatives. I know ASTA gives you talking points, so it's not like you're going in there alone. It's not like you're having a long conversation. You are very well prepped on what you should be bringing, how you should be presenting yourself, what the talking points are. Pretty much anything that is affecting the travel industry or travel advisors or small business is what you're going to talk, and really just share your stories with the different lawmakers and their teams and how these different initiatives that they might have to be voting for either soon or coming up affect you as a small business owner. So I just feel like Legislative Day, Leg Day for short, is just a really great opportunity. So that is in April. Not sure the exact dates, but if that's something, like if you want to put your handprint on anything that's happening within the travel industry and to help really protect your business from anything that might be coming, make sure to put that one on your radar too. Alrighty, so we were in August, finished August. Now we're heading into September. I feel like September is a time where lots of those host events are going to be at, but I mean, the most important event that you should really know about is Prep for Wave Week. If you're new around here, that is my annual virtual event. I think it's going down to 4 days this year, just because I feel like by the 5th day, everybody's a little bit burnt out and trying to catch up. So I haven't officially put it out there, but just pin September 21st through the 24th as Prep for Wave Week coming up for later this year, because we definitely want to make sure that you are there. If you have any suggestions for topics or speakers that should be there this year, please let me know. It's all about prepping for wave season, or if your wave season doesn't happen at the new year, prepping for a new year of business. Similar, but a little bit different. I am going to be hosting my Plan Your Year workshop again in October. Don't have official dates yet. And I'm contemplating doing a virtual session and an in-person session. So would love your feedback on your thoughts. Normally it's just virtual, so I'm definitely going to keep the virtual. But if you would like to do this in person, maybe like in a smaller group where you can like bounce off ideas and like actually be tangible and get feedback live, let me know. I might do that. Then November, we've got Cruise World. And I forget the publication that Cruise World or is the host of Cruise World, or that runs Cruise World. But this happens in Fort Lauderdale. Also, this is another really great like cruise industry. I've been to Cruise World before. It's very similar, I think, where it's like Wednesday through Friday, you're going to get a lot of education. And then Saturday, Sunday, those are your ship inspection days. So that's happening November 4th through the 6th. And historically, it's always like that first week in November in Fort Lauderdale. Then I don't have the exact dates. I was trying to see if I could find them for this year, but there is Tour Week. So if you rewind back a couple months ago, we had Mitch Bach, who is the host of the Tourpreneur podcast. They also run the event, and this is an in-person conference called Tour Week. It was in South Carolina last year, but I haven't seen any information for this year. It did happen like mid-November, so just have that at the top of your mind if this is something that you'd like to go to, because there's a lot of tour operators that go here. And it's a smaller conference because there's a lot of travel and tourism events. Like Arrival is a huge travel and tourism event, and that happens multiple times throughout the year. So it's kind of like a ILTM or a GTM. It's just not invitation only. You can pay the registration fee and be able to attend. So Arrival is one of those like really big travel and tourism. Tour Week is a little bit smaller, more intimate, more like, I feel like it's, where Arrival to me sounds not like super corporate-y, but it just sounds so big. So if you're not wanting to like go to like this massive conference and you're wanting to go to something a little bit more intimate, Tour Week might be a little bit more your speed. Also in November is the IGLTA convention, the International, I think that's what I is, Gay and Lesbian Tourism or Travel Association. So IGLTA, it is, where is it happening? I thought I wrote that down. It's November 2017 through the 21st. Hold on, I'm trying to find out where IGLTA is happening. Oh, it's in Spain. It's in Sevilla, Spain. So that's good. That's a great location. So that's exciting. So if that is your clientele or if that is you, that's another organization within the industry that you definitely want to be able to attend to meet other practitioners. So other people who also hone in on that as well. All right, so that is November. And then of course, Travel Industry Black Friday is coming back in November. And then December, I don't have anything. The only one that I really thought about like pointing out is what I mentioned was ILTM, the big one in CAN happens in December, and it's usually like the first or second week of December. So I know this was a ton of events. So let me know, like, was there something that I missed that definitely needs to be identified or that travel advisors need to know about? Make sure that you reach out to me so that I can get this list updated. As you know, I am also working on making blog posts for each of these. So once this blog post is up, everything will be linked in that blog post, because that is just way too many links to be posting separate from that. So if there's anything that travel advisors should definitely be attending that wasn't on this list that should definitely be mentioned, let me know. I know that I didn't mention anything because we'd be on here for hours, but I hope that this was a really good breakdown about some of the high level events and also where you can find other events that aren't so high level and a little bit more smaller, niche, also more community. Because some of the events that I didn't mention too, I mentioned that Dominican Republic event, but I know that there's also like British and British/Ireland kind of showcases. There's Africa showcases. There's Latin America showcases. So there's all sorts of different events. The Hive might actually be a really great place to also find some of this information at. I'm trying to think where else, but I feel like those are really the top three is going to be host agency reviews, Find Travel, and then possibly also the Hive to find really great events. And then again, don't scrap on the power of just being in a Facebook group and being able to talk and see about events that other people are interested in. Because I know there's tons of like destination wedding types of events that are out there. So it's also going to be very niche specific as to the different events that are there. But I hope that this list was super helpful, at least to give you a lay of the land and start putting like some hold dates on your calendar. Let me know what you want to hear from in the next couple of weeks, because I want to start batching a little bit, because I will be busy at the end of this month with host week. So let me know. I'd like to pre-record a couple episodes. What do you want to hear about to help build your travel business in 2026 and beyond? All right, everybody, we will see you, or you will listen to me next week also. Bye for now. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. Remember to check out the show notes for all relevant links and resources from today's show. See you next time.